Hi everyone, it's me, Krylios, Team Racing Productions MC and producer. And joining me today is someone that we've had on our platform here quite a few times before. This will be maybe our fourth interview with her. So I want to welcome Brooke Pinto, who is the newest member of the DC Council right now and running for re-election. So hello, Brooke. How are you?
I'm great. Hi, Krylios. Nice to see you. Thank you for having me back.
Thank you, thank you. It's such a pleasure to have you here with us again. It's been a long election cycle from primary till now. You were the last one to enter the War II race, 8 primary opponents, 7 special election opponents, and now the newest and youngest DC council member. How has that been for you so far?
It's been great. It's been the honor of my lifetime to be able to
Hmm.
represent the residents of Ward 2. It's been an incredibly busy couple of months as there's so much need out there, and we are trying
Hmm.
our best to think creatively and strategically about both addressing the immediate short term need that people have and also considering our long term needs as our city works to recover from this crisis. But it has been a wonderful and busy and important couple of months.
Course, definitely. And I know, with the pandemic and just being sworn in, it's like a lot has been like put on your plate all at the same time. What's it been like, going out into the community, not only, because you've had to campaign, but now you've also gotten a chance to meet with constituents and to really, take an active part in what's going on. How has that been like for you? And what does it feel like gearing up again now for the general election coming up in November?
Well, it is the third election we've run this year. As you noted, we had the
Yes.
primary election, the special election, now the general election. So I'm
Yes.
so honored that the residents of Ward 2 put their faith and trust in me in the two elections in June, and I hope that they do so again in November. I am certainly not taking anything for granted, and am asking every voter of Ward 2 to put their put their vote in me, and so we can continue working on our city's recovery and working together. I love being in the community. I think some of my best ideas and most productive weeks are when I'm able to speak with our community and help leverage their ideas and help
Yes.
work together to come up with solutions to these unprecedented challenges. So it's been a wonderful part of this year is being able to participate in so many different community events, go on site visits and tours, meet with all of our principals, meet with neighbors. So it's certainly the best part of my day.
I love that. I love that. Well, you're in Ward 2, that's the center of the city, very bustling. What are the issues that you want to tackle if you are reelected, things that probably you haven't been able to do yet since you've been elected right now, because it's only been a few months. What are the things that you really want to focus on and tackle if reelected?
Mhm. So I'd say three things, all of which we have made significant progress on, but they're in the last couple of months in my first 3 months in the role, but there's so much more to be done. So the first is with our small businesses. So many of our small businesses and restaurants are closing down and need a lot of additional support. So we've been able to work with Department of Transportation and the insurance and Office of Risk Management to lower insurance requirements to ensure that our restaurants can utilize the public space for these
Yes.
streeteries. I have co-introduced numerous pieces of legislation with Councilmember McDuffie to encourage and improve our access to grant money for minority businesses. To ensure, we're just introduced a piece of legislation today to expand our streeteries and to ensure that alcohol can be carried out from these restaurants so that they can continue to earn some revenue. We're very focused on criminal justice reform. As you know, we've established the Police Reform Commission and have been following along their meetings very closely. They'll be submitting to the council their formal recommendations for police reform in December of 2020. So I'm really looking forward to implementing a lot of those recommendations. And we're also working with the Department of Behavioral Health, and MPD and the Judiciary Committee to expand our outreach efforts and our drug intervention efforts so that we can move people into the support services they need without such a traumatic kind of interaction with armed weapons. And we are
Yes.
very focused on addressing and helping our chronically homeless population, many of whom are much more visible now with COVID-19 in tents and encampments in our ward, primarily because it's not safe to be in shelters so close together. And so many, there are still the same number of individuals experiencing homelessness, but it's much more visible for folks. And so we're working very hard with DHS and MHHS and our community. We've had a number of community meetings to bring everybody into the conversation and get on the same page that our goal is to move people into housing. That's not just a matter of funding, which we were able to repeal a tax credit in order to provide additional $5 million of funding for permanent supportive housing vouchers, but it's also a matter of outreach and ensuring our nonprofits have the resources they need to have these community conversations to inform people what the resources are and make sure that people have the autonomy to make a choice about where they're going to go. So those are three of the of many issues that are really important to me in my office and that we look forward to continuing to make serious strides on.
I love that. I love that. Now tell me, this summer, so many people have experienced so many things this summer. It's been a lot from the pandemic to, protests and demonstrations and stuff like that. Let's talk a little bit about the police. Where do you stand when it comes to the whole conversation and the whole debate of defunding the police or, having, new measures, restrictions on the police and what they are able to do, in this city?
Mhm. Well, so regarding the police, there were a number of measures that we took immediately that I was proud to be a co-introducer and co-sponsor on to ensure that body-worn cameras have to be worn and then submitted prior to being reviewed by the officer of the incident to ensure that everybody is being kept honest, to make sure that there's independent review board established when there is police misconduct. And as I mentioned, the Police Reform Commission, we're really looking forward to their formal recommendations based upon their years of expertise in studying criminal justice system and how police departments can and should be reformed. We're also looking to shift multiple responsibility sets out of the police department. I mentioned the drug intervention program. We're also looking at traffic enforcement, noise violations. Those are things that can be handled by other agencies and don't necessarily need to be handled by a group of armed officers interacting with our community. But when I think about the protests and how important they have been to me and our entire community, I think it's really important to think about the entire lifeline of justice involved individuals and the ways in which our policies affect our minority residents. And that's everything from additional after school programming to ensure that our young people have access to supervision, intellectual stimulation, socialization. There are avenues to pursue after school, all the way to expungement. We have 4 record sealing bills out of the Judiciary Committee just this fall to ensure that once somebody has served their sentence, they have a meaningful opportunity to re-enter into society and will reduce our recidivism rate. So we take the responsibility very seriously to live up to this important moment and to make sure that we are considering everything we do with a racial equity lens, which is also why we are supporting the REACH Act and support our new legislation, which requires the council to consider everything that we pass from transportation to education with a racial equity lens. And I'm very proud to work with my colleagues and work with our entire community on these really important steps.
Awesome, awesome. Now, you're in a very unique position where among your opponents right now that you're running, you are the only one you're the only one who is, currently in the seat. And so since you've been elected, different opponents have been saying things, various allegations and accusations, some which you have been officially cleared of. However, your critics have equated your ethics to that of your predecessor, Jack Evans, and have connected you to Trump and stuff like that. Now, would you want to dispute or clarify any of these things that have been said about you this election cycle?
Sure. So, we've found it's about the same group of 2 or 3 people over and over again, making these unfounded allegations, they really are Trumpian in nature. They're not based on facts. They're aimed to divide us. They're aimed to try to smear me and tear me down, because I think they're disappointed that those same three people are disappointed that I won in the spring, and are doing everything they can to ensure that that doesn't happen again. There was a complaint filed against me that was completely cleared by the Office of Campaign Finance. Ethics are incredibly important to me. I'm glad that the dismissal demonstrates that zero wrongdoing occurred, and I am focused on doing my job the best that I can, and representing our residents in Ward 2 and across the city. And of course, it's disappointing when those same two or three voices over and over again say these divisive, untruthful things. But all I can do is try to do the job the best I can, and stick with the truth and the facts. And I'm very confident that if anyone has any questions for me, that there is nothing untoward or salacious that has gone on in my life and in my tenure on the council, and I intend to keep it that way, as drama free as possible. And I hope that those same couple of voices continue to do so as well, or aim to do so as well.
Thank you, thank you. Now, as we're coming down to the end, let our viewers know how important it is to vote this year and what's at stake, in this election.
Mm-hmm. It is so important to vote this year. There are so many important elections, from the presidential election to the at-large race on the council, which, don't forget, you can vote for two council members, two candidates in that race, to the Ward 2 race, to State Board of Education at large, State Board of Education Ward 2, your local A&C race. So it's really important to do your homework, study up. There are so many wonderful candidates running across the city who care so deeply about our community, and it's really worthwhile to look into all of them and check out everybody's websites. We have sent out 450,000 ballots to registered voters across the city, and you can return those ballots. It's pre-stamped. You can return them through your traditional mail, or you can return them to any of the ballot drop box locations that are throughout the city, all of which are on our website, www.brookepinto4ward2.com, or they're on the Board of Elections website, which I would encourage anybody across the city, no matter what ward you're in, to check out and find your closest ballot drop box location. That is the safest way to vote. There's also early voting that's going to take place from October 27th to November 2nd. And then there's, of course, Election Day on November 3rd. And so there are so many ways to vote. It's incredibly important, this crisis that we're in right now with COVID-19 and our important demands for racial and criminal justice. Is imperative that you vote for people who you believe in, who you trust, who are competent. And I urge you all to make sure that your voice is heard in this election. And thank you for your continued support. I hope
Of course. Of course, of course. And I want to say to our viewers that you can find interviews with, everyone who's running, from the at-large race to the Ward 2 race, all the wards, State Board of Education to the ANC races, right here on the Team Racing YouTube channel. Let me ask you, Brooke, are you endorsing anyone from State Board of Education or any ANC or the at-large race? Are you endorsing any of the candidates?
I am not endorsing in the race. I think I've spoken to so many of the candidates running, and I'm so inspired by them and looking forward to continue to work with many of them. But I am running my own race. I'm focused on allowing and empowering the residents of Ward 2 and the district to make their own informed choices about all of the important races they have before them.
Beautiful. Now, how can our viewers support your campaign and follow you and keep up with you if they so choose?
So I would love if you visited our website, which is www.brookepinto4ward2.com. And you can follow us on social media, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, at Brooke for Ward 2 on Twitter and Facebook, and Brooke Pinto for Ward 2 on Instagram. And I look forward to keeping in touch with many of you. I appreciate the thousands of you who have reached out and email us on a daily basis and interact with us on social media. It's all so important, and we try to be as creative and proactive as possible in our ways in which we engage in outreach to our community. So please continue to reach out. I'm looking forward to seeing many of you in the community soon.
Awesome. And a reminder of viewers, the links are in the description. Thank you so much, Brooke, for joining me once again today. Once again, it's been such a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you, Krylios. Great to see you as always. Hopefully see you in person one of these days.
Yes, yes, hopefully so. Hopefully so. Thanks so much, Brooke. Have a good one. And to our viewers, thank you for watching. Bye, everyone.